Hello there. Well. This is weird, isn't it? This is definitely weird. Look, guys, you can clearly tell that this is not going to be our usual show this week onwards. You can clearly tell that. We are not even in our usual studio, probably because we do like to shake things up a bit now and then whenever we can. And also partly because our actual studio might be actually full of the coronavirus. I'm serious. I'm actually serious about that. Now, I'll tell you why I'm serious about this. Both the place where we normally shoot every day and our office building had confirmed cases of the coronavirus this week. So our staff has been working from home and we are currently taping this somewhere else with a very limited crew, of course, on this backdrop, which is clearly not a studio backdrop, as all of you know by now. Now, obviously, we are not the only ones who've had to make big adjustments to our lives, isn't it? Because last week, with regards to the coronavirus, many people in the US seemed to go from absolute abstraction to a very real threat. Yes, ladies and gents, things just spiraled from there. America's major sports were suspended, as was hockey. March Madness was cancelled. And if this wasn't enough, Rita Wilson and her husband Tom Hanks, yes, the very famous, the incredibly famous Tom Hanks, my favorite Tom Hanks. Now, these people announced that they had tested positive for the coronavirus. We've also learned that political figures from all over have been testing positive too, from the UK Prime Minister, the Health Minister, to the Mayor of Miami as well. And in the middle of all this madness, we are taping this. I don't believe that. We are clearly in the midst of a rapidly escalating outbreak, and it's very difficult to say exactly where things stand. Where do things stand? Can somebody tell me at least so that I can tell you? Ladies and gentlemen, friends, especially because despite Trump repeatedly claiming otherwise, tests for this virus are still not available in most places to those who actually need them. Welcome to Good Morning India at Home Edition. How are all of you? I hope everyone is staying at home, staying safe and healthy. Thank you so much for watching our show. We have a great show lined up for all of you this morning as well. Like always, of course, and along with me, your host, Anukriti Govind Sharma. Friends, speaking of the novel coronavirus, because there doesn't seem to be much else to talk about these days, I'm sorry about that. Bill Gates believes that humanity will be able to win this battle against the COVID-19 pandemic. He said that the world could start returning to some sense of normalcy, maybe, maybe by the second half of the year 2021. So there is a ray of hope right there for all of us. Now, even with the development of the vaccine by the second half of the next year, that would be a history making achievement. That's how he's put it in his own words. And I'm going to quote him later on. Bill Gates said that the only way to beat this pandemic is to vaccinate much of the human population on the planet. But before that could happen, life will continue to be under some measure of restrictions whatsoever. Let's accept it. The scientists around the world are working round the clock to develop a vaccine for COVID 19. Currently, around 75 separate projects are under an active stage of development, and the global hunt for a vaccine began ever since China shared a unique genetic sequence of the SARS novel coronavirus with the WHO on the 12th of January, precisely this year, as all of you know. So, what has happened since then? According to Bill Gates, the development of a vaccine as early as the second half of the next year would be a historic achievement for mankind, he said. And I quote him now. My hope is that by the second half of 2021, facilities around the world will be manufacturing a vaccine. And if that's the case, this will, of course, be a history making achievement, the fastest that humankind has ever gone from recognizing a new disease to immunizing against it. So that's what Bill Gates has to say. Experts have observed that usually it takes more than 10 years to develop any kind of a vaccine from preclinical stage to making it available for people in the market. The vaccine for Ebola was, however, accelerated, but even in that case, let me tell you that it took about 5 years to develop a vaccine for Ebola. In a battle against the coronavirus, some factors, however, do give us more hope. Vigorous development and testing, for instance, enhanced global cooperation, large scale trials, and also massive scaling up of the development facilities. Now, these may help us find a vaccine in a shorter span of time and maybe in the span of a year. So, probably, like Bill Gates has to say, maybe by the second half of the upcoming year of 2021. Now, Bill Gates has identified about three key medical breakthroughs which will emerge from this pandemic. Firstly, this is to do with the progress in the process of developing the vaccines. Secondly, Bill Gates says, according to him, new innovations in diagnostics through which patients will be identified quickly and more effectively. And lastly, a huge development in the field of antiviral drugs, just like we have antibiotics in the pharmacies. A lack of leadership has hurt mankind's response to this pandemic. United Nations Security Council has already failed to pass a resolution against the COVID-19, and Bill Gates has a message for all the global leaders right now. He has urged them to unite against the COVID-19, which is our common enemy right now. Gates has also called for the formation of a global institution to find the pandemics of the future. Ladies and gents, Gates has said, and I quote him here once again, this pandemic has shown us that viruses don't obey border laws and that we are all connected biologically by a network of microscopic germs, whether we like it or not. If a novel virus appears in a poor country, for instance, we want its doctors to have the ability to spot it and contain it as soon as possible. But the question, of course, is will the global powers unite against this pandemic? Think about it, friends. Think about it. Take this as breakfast for thought today. And yes, stay home, stay safe, as Acharya Chanakya, who is the famous Indian philosopher, and I'm sure all of you have heard about him, the very famous Chanakya, and I'm a big fan of his. Acharya Chanakya, the famous Indian philosopher and also a royal advisor, he once said, and who knew back then that it would aptly apply, so aptly apply to today's times. And he said, when the enemy is invisible, the best way to survive is to hide. On behalf of CVR English, I am your host, Anukriti Govind Sharma, wishing you all a very good morning once again. Stay home, stay safe.